I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. I communicate now. Question 26.1. Questioner, is any of the changing that we have done here going to affect communication with the instrument in any way? Is what we've set up here all right? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 26.2. Questioner, do you mean that everything is satisfactory for continued communication? Answer, I am Ra. We meant that the changes affect this communication. Question 26.3. Questioner, should we discontinue communication because of these changes, or should we continue? Answer, I am Ra. You may do as you wish. However, we would be unable to use this instrument at this space-time nexus without these modifications. Question 26.4. Questioner, assuming that it is all right to continue, we're down to the last 3,000 years of this present cycle, and I was wondering if the law of one in its written or spoken form has been made available within this last 3,000 years in any complete way such as we are doing now. Is it available in any other source? Answer, I am Ra. There is no possibility of a complete source of information of the law of one in this density. However, certain of your writings passed on to you as your so-called holy works have portions of this law. Question 26.5. Questioner, does the Bible that we know have portions of this law in it? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 26.6. Questioner, can you tell me if any of the Old Testament has any of the law of one? Answer, I am Ra. This is correct. Question 26.7. Questioner, which has more of the law of one in it, the Old Testament or the New Testament? Answer, I am Ra. Withdrawing from each of the collections of which you speak the portions having to do with the law of one, the content is approximately equal. However, the so-called Old Testament has a larger amount of negatively influenced material, as you would call it. Question 26.8. Questioner, can you tell me about what percentages of Orion influence in both the Old and New Testaments? Answer, I am Ra. We prefer that this be left to the discretion of those who seek the law of one. We are not speaking in order to judge. Such statements will be construed by some of those who may read this material as judgmental. We can only suggest a careful reading and inward digestion of the contents. The understandings will become obvious. Question 26.9. Questioner, thank you. Have you communicated with any of our population in the third density incarnate state in recent times? Answer, I am Ra. Please restate, specifying recent times and the pronoun, you. Question 26.10. Questioner, has Ra communicated with any of our population in this century, in the last, say, 80 years? Answer, I am Ra. We have not. Question 26.11. Questioner, has the law of one been communicated in the last 80 years by any other source to an entity in our population? Answer, I am Ra. The ways of one have seldom been communicated, although there are rare instances in the previous 80 of your years, as you measure time. There have been many communications from fourth density due to the drawing towards the harvest to fourth density. These are the ways of universal love and understanding. The other teachings are reserved for those whose depth of understanding, if you will excuse this misnomer, recommend and attract such further communication. Question 26.12. Questioner, then did the Confederation step up its program of helping planet Earth sometime late in this last major cycle? It seems that they did from previous data, especially with the Industrial Revolution. Can you tell me the attitudes and the reasonings behind this? Is there any reason other than they just wanted to produce more leisure time in the last, say, 100 years of the cycle? Is this the total reason? Answer, I am Ra. This is not the total reason. Approximately 200 of your years in the past, as you measure time, there began to be a significant amount of entities who by seniority were incarnating for learned teaching purposes rather than for the lesser of the learned teachings of those less aware of the process. This was our signal to enable communication to take place. The wanderers which came among you began to make themselves felt at approximately this time, firstly offering ideas or thoughts containing the distortion of free will. This was the prerequisite for further wanderers which had information of a more specific nature to offer. The thought must precede the action. Question 26.13. Questioner: I was wondering if the one Abraham Lincoln could have been a wanderer. Answer: I am Ra. This is incorrect. This entity was a normal, shall we say, Earth being which chose to leave the vehicle and allow an entity to use it on a permanent basis. This is relatively rare compared to the phenomenon of wanderers. You would do better, considering the incarnations of wanderers such as the one known as Thomas, the one known as Benjamin. Question 26.14. Questioner: I am assuming that you mean Thomas Edison and Benjamin Franklin. Answer: I am Ra. This is incorrect. We were intending to convey the sound vibration complex, Thomas Jefferson. The other, correct. Question 26.15. Questioner: Thank you. Can you tell me where the entity who used Abraham Lincoln's body, what density he came from and where? Answer: I am Ra. This entity was fourth vibration. Question 26.16. Questioner: I assume positive. Answer: I am Ra. That is correct. Question 26.17. Questioner: Was his assassination in any way influenced by Orion or any other negative force? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Question 26.18. Questioner: Thank you. In the recent past of the last 30 to 40 years that UFO phenomena have become known to our population. What was the original reason for the increase in what we call UFO activity in the past 40 years? Answer: I am Ra. Information which Confederation sources had offered to your entity, Albert Einstein, became perverted, and instruments of destruction began to be created, examples of this being the Manhattan Project and its product. Information offered through Wanderer, sound vibration, Nicola, also was experimented with for potential destruction, example, your so-called Philadelphia experiment. Thus, we felt a strong need to involve our thought forms in whatever way we of the Confederation could be of service in order to balance these distortions of information meant to aid your planetary sphere. Question 26.19. Questioner: Then what you did, I am assuming, is to create an air of mystery with the UFO phenomenon, as we call it, and then by telepathy send many messages which could be accepted or rejected under the law of one so that the population would start thinking seriously about the consequences of what it was doing. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is partially correct. There are other services we may perform. Firstly, the integration of souls or spirits, if you will, in the event of use of these nuclear devices in your space-time continuum. This the Confederation has already done. Question 26.20. Questioner: I don't fully understand what you mean by that. Could you expand on that a little bit? Answer: I am Ra. The use of intelligent energy transforming matter into energy is of such a nature among these weapons that the transition from space-time third density to time-space third density, or what you may call your heaven worlds, is interrupted in many cases. Therefore, we are offering ourselves as those who continue the integration of soul or spirit complex during transition from space-time to time-space. Question 26.21. Questioner: Could you give us an example from Hiroshima or Nagasaki of how this is done? Answer: I am Ra. Those who were destroyed, not by radiation, but by the trauma of the energy release, found not only the body-mind-spirit complex made unviable, but also a disarrangement of that unique vibratory complex you have called the spirit complex, which we understand as a mind-body-spirit complex, to be completely disarranged without possibility of reintegration. This would be the loss to the Creator of part of the Creator, and thus we were given permission, not to stop the events, but to ensure the survival of the, shall we say, disembodied mind-body-spirit complex. This we did in those events which you mention, losing no spirit or portion or holograph or microcosm of the macrocosmic infinite one. Question 26.22. Questioner: Could you tell me just vaguely how you accomplished this? Answer: I am Ra. This is accomplished through our understanding of dimensional fields of energy. The higher or more dense energy field will control the less dense. Question 26.23. Questioner: then you are saying that, in general, you will allow the population of this planet to have a nuclear war and many deaths from that war, but you will be able to create a condition where these deaths will be no more traumatic than entrance to what we call the heaven worlds or the astral world due to death by a bullet or by the normal means of dying by old age. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is incorrect. It would be more traumatic. However, the entity would remain an entity.